Hey Retro fans, welcome to another episode of Retro Gaming Memories. In this episode I'm going to do something a little bit different, and I'm basically just going to chat to you and pose a couple of questions. So there was something happened the other day there, and it kind of got me thinking about this whole retro gaming thing. Basically, right, I've got my Neo Geo CD. The console, the Neo Geo CD console. The last video I did was playing Ghost Pilots on that, which is a great shooter. Now, the Neo Geo CD is a fantastic console. It's basically an arcade box in a console. It's brilliant if you love that kind of arcadey thing. And the Neo Geo CD, I've got 5 original games for it. And the good thing about the Neo Geo CD is that it plays backups, so you can burn games that you can find on the internet. I won't say where, but you can find them easy enough, and you can burn them to disk and you can play them on the original hardware, and it's great. So I was playing Ghost Pilots the other day there, and I thought, you know what, I quite fancy getting the original disc of Ghost Pilots, because the one that I've got is a backup. So I went on eBay and I had a little look. And Ghost Pilots goes for anywhere between 80 and 130 quid. And I thought, bloody hell, that's a bit that's a bit crazy for an old console like that. And that kind of got me looking at the Neo Geo CD stuff and thinking, what are these games actually like? Now I know that the AES or MVS, the actual cartridge based stuff, that goes for thousands. Some of those games are thousands of pounds, which is just ludicrous. But I started looking at the Neo Geo CD stuff, and I thought, I quite like to get originals of the games. So I kind of looked at the ones that I had. I've got things like the King of Fighters, basically fighting games, which are really common on the Neo Geo CD and tend to be the kind of cheapest ones. But I thought, you know what, I've got 4 fighting games. I quite fancy a shooting game, because there were some brilliant shooters on the Neo Geo CD. And then, of course, you've got the games like Metal Slug. So I thought I'll have a little look. Now, I have Metal Slug, and to all intents and purposes, that's as good as the original. But it's not. It is a backup. Now, I like to do that. Rather than putting games in a folder, I will print out covers and all that kind of stuff. But I thought, you know what, I'll see about getting the original of Metal Slug. It's 120 quid. And I was like, I couldn't believe how expensive these games were. And some of them, there's one called Neo Turf Masters, which is a golf game. Now, it's a very good golf game and I like it. But it's like £300. And I was agog, basically, at how expensive these Neo Geo CD games are. And it kind of put me in thinking about this whole retro collecting thing. Now, I have games like the King of Fighters. What one's this? The King of Fighters 94, right? Now, this is an original, which is nice, proper manual and all that kind of stuff. And this is the English version, because a lot of them are obviously Japanese. But this is the English one with the English manual and all that kind of stuff. All great. And then I've got games like Samurai Spirits, which is Samurai Showdown 2. And this is the Japanese version, and as you can see, it's Japanese writing compared to the English writing. But then I found out the other day there that someone was selling a game, and they had, in all honesty, marked it as a bootleg. Now, it looked actually absolutely perfect. It had the Neo Geo disc and all that kind of stuff in the manual. It wasn't Samurai Showdown. It was a game called Last Resort, which is a shooting game, which is a very good shooting game. But they had kind of openly said, look, we think this is a bootleg, so it's lower priced than the kind of proper copies, if you like. And I couldn't see any difference apart from one thing. Let's see if I can show you it here. See there? There's a little bit of, I presume it's Chinese writing, Japanese writing. I'm really sorry if I'm getting all my characters mixed up. And it's on the manual there. Now, apparently that's a bootleg. The official SNK games, let's see if I can do this. So it's got that Japanese or Korean writing. I think the guy said it was a Korean copy, but again, forgive me, I could be getting it completely wrong. but there is that little bit of sort of text there, whereas on the original it's not there. It says whatever, not for reproduction or something like that. I don't have my glasses on, I've got no chance of reading that. And the manuals, the proper SNK ones don't have the kind of little watermark thing there. So it turns out that one of the games that I thought was an original is a bootleg. Still plays perfectly and all that kind of stuff. But there are guys selling these bootleg games which are identical to the one that the honest seller had identified as a bootleg, if that makes any sense. When you look at other listings for the same game that are 80, 90 quid, they're the same thing. They've got the kind of Japanese writing or whatever in that corner. So they're bootlegs as well. But if you didn't know, like I didn't, I mean, I think I paid 15 quid for that. It wasn't, stupidly expensive. But if you didn't know, then you could just be buying bootlegs that are not worth the money. None of these games, retro games to me, when they're stupidly expensive, is just, it's beyond comprehension. It's just a bit stupid, really. These are old games, they're not antiques, they're not worth a fortune, but it is what it is. But anyway, this whole thing got me thinking, because there's something in my brain, right? I'm a bit weird with this kind of stuff. I like having complete games. So, this pleases me. It's an original, it's got the manual, it's an original disc and all that. All my collection, bar, 5 cartridges, 5 Atari cartridges, I think, are all boxed, complete manuals. Some of them are in a bit kind of poor condition, but mostly the Atari stuff. But when I buy a game, I buy it in nice condition, complete, even the Amiga stuff is complete and in good condition and working. And if I bought a game where the discs don't work, I will seek out new discs for it, and all that kind of stuff. So all my collection is all complete with manuals and that. I don't buy stuff for the sake of it and all that kind of stuff. But this is a bit of a kind of ramble, I'm really sorry. But this whole thing got me thinking, basically, am I more of a collector than a gamer? Which is kind of weird, because I've always thought of myself as a gamer. But, I'm looking down at my little collection here, right, where my Neo Geo stuff's. I've got about 30 Neo Geo discs burned down there. And like I say, I've got about five originals, I think. So there's 25 games down there, including like Metal Slug 2, Neo Tough Masters, Pulsar, all the kind of games that are expensive on eBay. And you pop them in the Neo Geo and they work perfectly. As far as anybody else is concerned, if you didn't tell anybody, you'd be playing the original game. But I know, and it's some weird, I'm sure I'd be on many, many spectrums if I got tested. But, I don't know if it's like OCD or Asperger's or some weird and wonderful thing, but it's knowing that it's a copy doesn't kind of quite sit right with me. And it's not a morality thing. It's not, I'm playing a backup that's dodgy. These things don't make anybody any money anymore. It's not like I'm stealing it off the internet and, doing SNK out of money. But, yeah, having it as a backup just kind of feels kind of lesser to me, which is weird. It's why I don't really do emulation either, because, again, I can go down to my little shelf. Let me just quickly show you. Look, I've got a little shelf down there. Where all my Neo Geo stuff is. I can go down there and I can have a look through the games and, look at the cover art and look at the things and try and think what kind of game I fancy playing. Whereas if you're on a list of stuff on an emulator, you scroll up and down and, it's got nice box art and all that kind of stuff, but it just does nothing for me. I scroll up and down, I can never find anything that I want to play, because it just... I'm a very tactile person, so flicking through a box of CDs or whatever kind of fires me up a lot more than just scrolling through a list of stuff. And it's the same with anything, like any digital kind of media, like music and all that kind of stuff. I listen to the same old albums all the time because it's probably a lack of imagination for that kind of thing, but I don't know, I just... Getting new music, as an example, when it's a big list of stuff on the iTunes store or whatever, trying to find new music is really hard. Whereas when you used to go into a shop and flick through the CDs or the albums and have a look at them and you think, oh, I quite fancy that or whatever, I just get bored looking at lists of stuff on a screen. So yeah, I'm off on another random tangent now, aren't I? So the emulation thing really doesn't do anything for me, and I know it's a great thing. Before I was lucky enough to have this room, I used to play emulators all the time because it was the only thing I had space for. And I really love it. The only thing I have emulated in here is on that arcade cabinet because I don't have room for the real deal. And yeah, I could get one of these 60-in-1 boards and all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't have the games I want to play. So anyway, that's another random tangent. We've split off in about 15 different paths already. But yeah, it's a really weird thing, and basically I'm wondering if I'm the only one that's kind of weird like this, or if anybody else has this same kind of thing. Last year I thought I was suffering from kind of gaming burnout. I did have too many games and I sold off a big chunk of my collection, stuff that I wasn't using. Because sometimes I would think, right, I fancy playing a game. And I would look at this entire room, there's 946 games or something like that in here. And, I never ever, I was going to say underappreciate, that's not the right word. I appreciate that I'm lucky enough to have all this stuff. And it's no a kind of, I've got loads of stuff, can't be arsed, look at me, I'm great. I look at these games and sometimes I think, right, I fancy playing a game. And I'll look through this stuff and I think, I don't know what I want to play, I can't think of anything. And it's really bizarre, so that was why I thought I had kind of gaming burnout last year, where I was just getting to the point that I was basically a collector. I liked having all this stuff. Because when I look at the boxes of, like Amiga games or the Atari stuff, not so much like the Xbox 360 and things like that, but the kind of old stuff, there's that nostalgia there, and I like looking at them, and sometimes I will just pick them up and have a look at the box and go down nostalgia trips down memory lane and all that kind of nonsense. But it's a weird thing to have all these games and to kind of look at them and think, I don't know what I want to play. And also having that urge to kind of try and pull it back to my original blether that I was going on about. That urge of wanting kind of original things. Like I would love to have the original Metal Slug. There's absolutely no point because it's in Japanese, I can't read the manual. It would be no different to this whatsoever, apart from it would have a manual and an officially produced disc. It's not like I'm missing out because I don't have the manuals and all that kind of stuff. I can't read them anyway because they're in Japanese and I don't read Japanese. But I would love to have the original Metal Slug. What is that all about? It's totally weird. Now, I'm a very content kind of guy. It's not that I'm, antsy and want stuff. I'm a very content kind of guy, and I love having the things that I've got. But it's just a weird thing, and I'd love to know if anybody out there is the same. It's a really hard thing to explain, but I get weird if there's a buy a game off of eBay or something like that, and I'm usually very careful. But if I get a game off of somebody, and like the manual's missing, then it's a bit like buying a car with a chip out the side of it or something like that. You just think, yeah, it's not quite right, and I will go and source a manual or something like that. And it's why I don't have like these EverDrive carts or Harmony carts or anything like that for the Atari. I have considered getting a Harmony cart, which is, if you don't know what that is, it's a cartridge for the Atari 2600 that you can put I think it's a micro SD card into, and you can fit pretty much every game ever released onto it. Now that doesn't interest me. I want to have the act of plugging in Pac-Man. Taking it out of the box, plugging it in, looking at the manual, selecting a game, or whatever cartridge it may be. That to me is part of the whole process of playing a game on a particular system. It's taking it out of the box, plugging it into the machine, setting up your controllers, whatever it may be. That's all part of the experience for me. So having a Harmony cartridge and plugging it in and just having it sitting there all the time with 12,000 games on it. The only thing that kind of interests me about doing that is that there's a lot of homebrew stuff produced for the Atari. Now you can play that on emulators obviously, but it would be quite nice to be able to play those on the original systems. So I have thought about kind of getting a Harmony cart for that stuff. Like I say, yeah, you could put all your games on it and have them all, but that doesn't interest me at all. I like to, like I just said, like to plug the things in. So it's the same with the Neo Geo CD, but I thought about the other day there. There's one other system that I'd quite like to get, and that's the TurboGrafx Duo, which is the PC Engine Turbo Duo, I think it's called. Basically, it was a PC Engine with a CD-ROM attached to it. You could buy an original, like the original PC Engine, which was a tiny little box. You could get a CD-ROM attachment for it that bolted on, but then later on, I think it was NEC that made an actual kind of all-in-one console, so you could play TurboGrafx CD games or PC Engine CD games. But it also had the card slot for the Hue cards, which were little credit card size chips that the games came on. God, that was a bit long-winded as well, wasn't it? But I thought about getting one of those, and again, those play backups. You can get the game, you can burn the games to disk, and away you go. You can't do that with the Hue cards, but you can get an EverDrive thing. But again, that then I just keep thinking, what's the point in that? Because I think the games themselves the CD games are pretty rare. So you could burn the backups, and that would be fine, and you'd be able to play them, and that would be lovely. But then I'd want Hue cards to play some of the Hue card games, and I just thought, God, you're just opening a whole can of worms. And then I had the bright idea. I was checking eBay the other day there, and they had a shell from a TurboGrafx Duo thingy-me-bob, and it was just a shell. The innards had been stripped out of it. It was not working or whatever, and they had just kept the case because it was quite nice. And it was like 20 quid. And I thought, you know what, I could buy that so it looks like a TurboGrafx, and I could stick a Raspberry Pi in it, and I could just have the TurboGrafx games on it, like TurboGrafx CD or whatever. It would essentially just be a TurboGrafx sort of flashback console type thing. I wouldn't have multiple things on it. It would just be a TurboGrafx, and then but then I thought, you'd need to use USB pads, and it wouldn't be the original pads, and then I just dismissed the idea because I thought it was kind of fun and intriguing, and for 5 minutes I was like, oh, that would be pretty cool, quite like that. And then I could do a SNES one, which would be cheaper than buying a SNES Mini or one of the EverDrive carts for the SNES and all that kind of stuff. And again, it triggered my imagination for 5 minutes. Then I thought, nah, it just doesn't really float my boat. I would never use it. I had flashback consoles before. I had like the ColecoVision and the Intellivision. Consoles I never owned back in the day, but I got those ones specifically. I actually imported them from America. But I had those specifically because they are, although you can emulate those systems pretty easy because they are kind of Atari 2600 era, you can emulate them easy because they're quite rudimentary consoles. But the thing is they came with quite unique controllers. I had like a telephone pad type controller with a disc thing on the top of it, and they were quite unique. So the flashback consoles had the proper controllers for them, and I thought, if you're going to play these games, you might as well play them with the proper controllers. But again, the lack of nostalgia for those consoles, there was some great games on them, and I enjoyed playing some of the games on it, and had a good laugh with some friends and stuff on it, but there was no nostalgia for it. And again, you're presented with a screen with 60 games on it or whatever, and I just thought it doesn't do anything for me. I like, although it takes a lot of room and a lot of money, I like having the original things, the original discs or tapes or CDs or whatever it is. But yeah, anyway, listen, this is a bit of a strange episode, isn't it? But what are your guys? What do you think about yourselves? Do you ever think about any of this kind of weird stuff? Do you consider yourself a gamer more than a collector, or vice versa? Do you think you're more of a collector? You've maybe never thought about it before. You've maybe thought, I'm a gamer and I just like to buy loads of games. But do you find yourself going for complete collections or something? I don't. I've never done that because, there's games out there that just wouldn't interest me, and if I bought a complete Sega Mega Drive collection or something like that. It would cost thousands of pounds and I don't have the room for it, but there's a lot of games that wouldn't interest me. So it's a bit of a waste of money for me personally. There is a bit of a completionist in me that thinks that would be a really good thing to do, and it would tick a little box in my brain somewhere. But it's just not viable for me. So, but yeah, do you guys just buy games that are nostalgic to you, or do you buy games you always wanted, or do you buy anything, for a particular system? I see some guys go down to car boot sales and they will go, oh, I've got a new retro haul, look at all my stuff that I bought, and it's like 6 copies of FIFA and 3 copies of Sonic on cartridge and just lots of stuff. And I've never understood that, unless you're an eBay seller or something where you're buying stock. I wouldn't have 12 copies of Sonic. What's the point? But yeah, this is a very rambly kind of shambolic video. I do apologise, but I just wanted to kind of talk this out, and as usual, all my videos are unscripted. It's just me talking as stuff pops into my head, which is all why it's so random. But yeah, it's a strange thing, and I would be really interested to hear what you guys think and what you have in your collections, as in, do you like to buy all the physical stuff, or are you quite happy running backups? If you have systems, would you just burn discs for it or whatever, and be quite happy that you could just play the game? Do you have folders full of CDs of burned stuff and you're quite happy with that, or do you think printing out covers and stuff and putting them in a disc box would be quite nice to have them displayed, or does that not even remotely interest you? I do weird things as well, just thinking about this kind of print out the covers thing, all this kind of stuff. Now the good thing about Neo Geo is you don't need to have a manual to play the game, because it shows you how to play it in 2 seconds on a screen. But there are things like the fighting games and that, where there's lots of techniques and things and special moves that, because I can't read the manual, I don't know what they do. There's power gauges and all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff. So I find myself, there's quite a few good websites where you can get guides for these games, and not just Neo Geo stuff, things in general. And I find myself, downloading those and printing up sort of mini manuals, mini guides almost, to these games that I can refer to, because I like printed stuff. Digital stuff's alright, but I don't know, I like having a printed bit of paper to hold on to. I suppose I'm just old. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just that I'm old and I like old stuff. I've no idea. Which is quite weird, because in a complete juxtaposition, I've got, tablets and iPhones and all that kind of stuff, and I love modern technology, and I love the convenience and things that those have got. But I don't know, it seems to just be a retro thing. It seems to almost be if I'm using retro systems, I like to have retro things like printed manuals and proper joysticks and things, as opposed to playing it on a touch screen where there's no physical controls and stuff. I'm thinking about like emulators on tablets and all that kind of stuff, where you can emulate these games perfectly, obviously, but there's no physical controls. That again doesn't interest me even remotely, because your thumb slides all over the place. Anyway, that's a whole other tangent that I'm off on. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. What's your thoughts on this whole retro thing, on retro gaming in general? What does it mean to you? Do you like collecting the games? Do you like having loads of games? Or do you just like having a couple of things for specific systems? And why do you buy games? Is it a complete nostalgia trip? Do you only buy things that you had when you were a kid or whatever? Or is it stuff you've always wanted? Or like all the stuff that I've got now, all my consoles and computers and stuff, are basically, I've rebought my childhood. So I've got every console and computer that I had growing up. The only thing that I've got that I never had, if that makes any sense, was a Neo Geo. Now I didn't even lust after that when I was a kid. I didn't know anything about it. It was just I'd actually played it at my mate's, at Alan's, Meister. I played it at his and kind of got carried away and thought I need to have one of these. So that's what started me off on that tangent. But every other console that I've got in here is something that I owned throughout my kind of gaming history. And all the games, I've basically rebought all the games that I used to have, and some games that I always kind of wanted. So this is basically a big box of memories for me in this room. It's a big, huge nostalgia trip. But if you're lucky enough like me to have a games room, what do you fill it with? Do you like having the thing jam packed? Because that's another thing. And maybe it's my kind of weird OCD organisational brain. There's loads of artwork and stuff I'd love to print out and have posters and things. But as you can see, I've got a few things behind me. There's a few Bob Wakeland bits, and I've got a couple of posters up on the wall behind me. But it's not sparse by any means, but it's quite refrained, perhaps would be a word. Whereas there's loads of stuff that I'd love to print out. I've seen people that have got just like walls of art, all posters like the old US Gold adverts and all that kind of stuff, either cut out of magazines or reprinted, and it's just walls of stuff, and marquees and all sorts of things just up. And part of me likes that as well, because it's just like, nostalgia overload. But part of me as well likes having a bit clean wall and stuff like that. I'm a very weird guy. The more I talk about this, I'm like, God, Dave, shut up. You're just weird. But yeah. Anyway, listen, I'm going to stop talking because this is just kind of weird and rambly. But I just wanted to kind of put that out in the land of YouTube. This weird obsession thing that I have for chasing original games and stuff, but I suppose part of it's a little bit disappointment that I can't buy. I mean, technically I'm lucky enough I technically could go out and buy it if I wanted to, but I won't spend £100 on Metal Slug. That's just stupid. I won't do it even if I won the lottery. Well, if I won the lottery I might, but it's I can't bring myself to spend that kind of money on some old game, no matter even if it is a total classic like Metal Slug. When I've got it there, I can play this as if, if I bought the original, it would be absolutely zero difference to having this. So, in my brain I know it's absolutely stupid to want the originals. Why? But if I hold those up, nobody'd know any different unless I told you. So I don't know what it is in my brain. I'm just a bit of a weirdo, really, I suppose. But anyway, sorry about this weird video. It's a bit strange, but thanks for listening, and just I genuinely love to hear your comments or a video response or something like that. If you can't be bothered typing a load of nonsense, just have a chat to camera and tell me what you think. I would love to see or hear what your thoughts are on this whole gaming thing. Do you have these weird obsessions like I do, or am I just a complete Fruit Loop that should be locked up in a padded cell somewhere? Yeah, so anyway, listen, a bit of a different video this, I'm afraid. We'll be doing more of the kind of normal stuff next time. I don't know what it'll be yet, but stay tuned. We'll be doing more of the Retro Gaming Memories mini. I should really change the title of that, it's a bit long, isn't it? More sort of gameplay things. People seem to quite like that kind of thing, so I'll be doing more of those. I might be doing some more music stuff, remixy things. That seemed to be go down quite well as well. I might even get around to doing some kind of tutorial type stuff if people were interested in that kind of thing, on the music side of things. I don't know. I'm also thinking about at some point talking about the arcade cabinet. How I built it, how it works, all the control panels that I've got for it to play the different games, all that kind of stuff. So there's plenty more content coming off in this channel. So stay tuned and tell all your friends and share this everywhere. Maybe not this video because they'll just think I'm a ranting lunatic, but share the other videos and things. Tell all your mates, share the love. Let's see if we can get the subscriber base up a little bit. Yeah, just keep coming back, and I really appreciate your support, and let me know what you think. I'd love to see some responses to this video. And yeah, I will catch you soon, and we'll be doing some fun things. No idea what, but we'll do something fun. Alright, so thanks for watching, and like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you next time.